Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, through his own personal experience, Eric Lawless understands the challenges associated with accessing medical treatments abroad. Armed with this experience, Eric wants to build a Booking.com platform for the ever-increasing demand for medical treatments performed outside of Ireland. Eric joins us now to tell us more. Eric, what is Velacor and where did the idea for the business come from?
Thanks so much for having us. It's great to be here. Velacor itself, its name is from joy through a shared experience, and this business itself was kind of formulated from my own experience. I myself went through a hair transplant after 9 years of deliberating about it. So I started to lose my hair when I was 21 years of age, which at the time in college and university was probably the end of the world as I knew it. And part of the reason why I didn't at a younger age was the price was one driving factor. It was over the €10,000 mark. And as a student, it just wasn't feasible. And eventually, as I turned 30 years of age, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I spent years researching and eventually was brave enough to make the decision to go to a clinic in Turkey. We travelled with a third-party company. We personally didn't feel like they did enough for us. And they were basically a sales team, and we felt it could be done so much better. And Irish people needed to be pointed in the right direction. And this is how the business concept came around, and it's been growing from strength to strength since.
So what is the business concept?
So the business itself is, to describe it to your listeners, is easy. Eventually what the model we're trying to build is a Booking.com, but for medical procedures around the world. But it's not just for any hotel or clinic, and we use the reference as that so people can understand the model. But our model is based off only the best clinics around the world. We pick the clinics that are going to give people the best outcomes. We pick the clinics that look after our clients' health and welfare in a whole holistic approach. It's not just about the procedure and home. It's about the before care, the after care, and the encouragement to make the best choices for them. But the important thing is the best choices for the best clinics. For example, there's 720 different clinics in Istanbul alone in Turkey. How an individual can dissect through who's qualified, who has the correct insurance, are they actually licensed to practice medicine? There is a lot of areas to navigate, and what we want to be is a signpost for people who are looking to go abroad so that their money is being spent well and they hopefully will get the best outcomes.
You're starting in the hair transplant space. Why is it that you're starting there?
So for cosmetic surgery and the industry itself is estimated to be worth between 50 billion and 70 billion globally. There's different markets. There's so many different procedures for both males and females of different ages. For us, hair transplant is a key one to do because it's what would we consider minimally invasive. The standard of aftercare required wouldn't be as intensive as those who are going for bariatric surgery. And it's also a field I've been through myself, and for younger males and females, it was an area we felt it was easy to test our model to see if it was worth our time, investment and energy to test the model and systems with this. And that is why we've decided to go with hair transplants. It is a minefield with a myriad of different cosmetic procedures. But for us, it was a nice start, a nice entry into the market. And if we can prove it in one area, we can definitely follow our own business model into all of these other areas.
Turkey is synonymous with hair transplants. How did they carve out that niche?
So in Turkey itself, they get a lot of support from government. They've recognised, and the Turkish government have recognised, and we've had meetings with the Turkish embassy here in Ireland who have highlighted what benefits they give to medical clinics over there. They've recognised the importance of medical tourism, and they really, really promote their businesses to get involved in medical tourism and their doctors. The cost is probably the main factor then for people travelling to there. But because of their years of being one of the destinations for it, their medical clinicians have developed so much expertise. They have got 10,000 hours of experience, thousands of surgeries. So they have now become essentially the experts in the field because so many people have trusted them over the years. Some of the clinics, we work with 2 clinics, Smile Hair Clinic and Vera Clinic, who be regarded as some of the best clinics in Turkey. They're constantly looking at new ways of innovation through oxygen chambers, the Sapphire FUE, which is a method of extraction of the hair follicles. So they're constantly looking for new ways.
And what size is that medical tourism market in Turkey today?
So globally, 1.2 million people traveled to Turkey in 2022, and it is, and that's the figure released from the Turkish Tourism Board. But to put a figure on the number of people from Ireland that are travelling, it's unknown because, like any good Irish person, we keep ourselves to ourselves, and we're not ones to shout it from the treetops if we are going for a hair transplant or other cosmetic procedures. But it's estimated that anywhere between 3,000 and 10,000 Irish people a year are travelling for a procedure. So it is quite a substantial market for Turkey.
We've all heard the horror stories associated with people who have gone overseas for medical treatments. The Irish Times have written a number of articles when it comes to bariatric surgery, such as gastric bands. Are there any particular issues associated with hair transplants?
If you go onto the Department of Foreign Affairs, when you look for travelling abroad, they will always say that all surgery contains an element of risk, and it's essential that people have the correct travel insurance and they do their due diligence in terms of the clinics they're going to and making sure that everyone, and they're 100% right. The difference between the hair transplant and the bariatric surgery, which would include the gastric sleeve, which really does get a lot of media attention because it is a very invasive procedure. The hair transplant would not be considered as invasive. It's a local anaesthetic. You're awake for the procedure. The biggest issues that people could have from a hair transplant could be a bacterial infection. And what we've noticed is, and what the doctors have told us, some of the key information is people who don't follow the medical advice about smoking, and they can develop a reaction because of the smoking or drinking alcohol in the lead up or the post procedure, are not looking after themselves essentially. But most of the issues with the hair transplant can be solved through a GP or a prescription. And that's why we've aligned ourselves with a GP in Ireland, so that any of our clients who travel away can have a prescription wrote for them here through an Irish Medical Council number to an Irish doctor, who then can oversee any complications they're having with the assistance of the surgeons in Turkey as well. So it adds in that home trust element.
And in relation to hair transplants, of course, cost is the main driver as to why somebody would travel overseas for that. So what type of savings can be achieved?
So there are new companies entering the Irish market which are offering savings. And again, we would like to see them on board our systems at some point in the future, as long as they meet our very stringent criteria. But what's driving people is, like, surgery can cost over 10,000 euros in Ireland. And then you can get a full surgery with one of our top clinics with all of the extras, including oxygen chamber treatments, all the nutritional medications that you will need, vitamins to promote hair growth, 5-star hotels, and your flights for about 4,500 euros.
So talk us through the process which a user would follow when using the Velacor platform.
We have what we call in the startup world an MVP, the minimum viable product, which is just our basic page. By contacting us through the basic page, we will then ask you to produce photographs of your hair. It's great for everyone at home to take a moment to join in the process and assist you with the photographs of your head. But we're basically looking for the key areas from the front, side profile, back and the top of your head. From that, then photographs will get sent to our both clinics in Turkey, who will assess you for consultation. They will then produce back whether you were accepted for the operation. They will also give a prediction of what they think they can do with you. One of our clinics will actually send back a graphic of where they think they will place all of your grafts and how it will look for you. And then following that, the only steps that are left to do is pick a day, book your flights, pay your deposit, and we will help you get all the way to Turkey.
So what's the revenue model that underpins your business?
So our revenue model would follow the same as a booking.com model, and it's a commission-based model. The reason we went with a commission-based model is we want standard pricing across every clinic who comes on board the platform. And the reason we do that is we're not a sales team. Our job is not to sell you a clinic. Our job is to present viable options for you, but give the power of choice to the consumer so that you can choose based on your budget, based on your expectations, which clinic you want to go to. And we don't charge the client for that. And that is one of the key parts of the business model.
You're starting in the hair transplant space, but you're moving on next in your roadmap into dental and then cosmetic before looking at general medical procedures. Of course, with the long waiting list here in Ireland, the Travel Abroad scheme surely will be a major driver for your business then.
Yeah, so in terms of the business model we've just spoke about, the Travel Abroad scheme is actually an EU scheme that was established to help countries tackle, one, an expertise drain. So if a procedure couldn't be completed within a country. So if we were to take a situation in Ireland, if I couldn't get a procedure in Ireland, if it wasn't available in the time normally necessary to get it done in Ireland, taking into account your health and the likely course of condition or disease, you can get a referral from a consultant. So that is one bit of information that probably people don't know about. And this is why people are thinking, oh, travel, I'd prefer to have it done at home. But unfortunately, travel is probably going to become part of our future, particularly part of the European Union, that there is expertise around the area of Europe that can help alleviate some of our waiting lists in Ireland. And for those looking for information, they do need to look up the Travel Abroad scheme. And what that would require them to do is go to their consultant, discuss their options with their consultant, and essentially they can recommend them to go to a registered practitioner in a hospital that accepts the form E112 or the S2 form, which essentially is the TAS scheme. But the scheme won't cover your travel in most cases. It just covers the procedure costs. But the important thing for people to note is when they come back, they're under the care of their consultant afterwards. So their recovery and their progress is monitored then in Ireland. So it is something that is being rolled out across Europe, and it's something that we will see in the future. So we're hoping to be the first signpost in the road for people.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Eric Lawless from Velacor, and we look forward to watching this business continue to grow in the years to come.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.